dumpster fire south of Louisville finally cleaned itself up, thank God. And I am 60 some odd miles outside of Bowling Green, my destination. I like this section of highway because of the heavily forested areas, and I like the terrain. I like the rocks on the side of the road. I also like the fact that I'm not sitting still in traffic, which is bad. Elizabeth Town, not to be mistaken with Elizabeth Ton. I just like this section of Highway 65 South. I'm about centered between Louisville and Bowling Green. I'm coming up on the Elizabeth Town. That's right, I'm passing on the road. Whoa, dude, stay on the road. Off here. Whew, that wasn't good. Almost made a man sandwich back there. This is the terrain in Tennessee I really appreciate. The woods are super fun. Stop. Sun setting here on the west side. Driving straight south. Got trucks on the left and one tailgating me, and I'm in the far right lane. You know, kind of out of his way. But he's tailgating me for some reason. Can't show it to you. So now I have trucks on three sides. If you find yourself out here driving around, make sure you have food and water on board. Have a pee jug in case you get stuck in traffic like I just got done with here a little while ago. That's just frustrating. I'm showing 63 miles to my destination, which is just this side of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm dropping off these two baskets of possibly motor mounts, possibly not. And then I'm going to scout out some place to hide for the evening. I'm still on the clock. They still have the option to call. It's just after a certain hour of night, they usually don't, unless you're operating around Toledo or Detroit, which they do have runs that go on all night long, which I've gotten in the middle of. Where you literally have a company manufacturing a product that's needed up in Detroit, and you pick it up in Toledo and run up 85, 90 miles, drop, come back, and then they produced another bag or another batch of whatever, because there's that much demand for it. I still need someone to tell me how to access YouTube Studio music I can play, because I don't know how to do it. Just took on fuel, stopped for a few minutes, got out, walked around a little bit. And the longer you sit in here, the stiffer the old bones get, the more walking you need to do. I'm hoping to do some walking around tonight. Get a little bit of mileage in. Depending on how far away a gym is and what time it closes, I may go to Planet Fitness if there's one close by that's open 24 hours. I may use this as an excuse to go there, work out a little, and then go use their shower. Some Planet Fitness locations are open 24 hours, some close at 9 o'clock. There's no pattern to it. But it gives your body the opportunity to move, because when you're just sitting here holding the steering wheel, there's not much going on. And like I said, they have showers, so that makes it kind of nice. That's a low bridge. Wow, that's a shockingly low bridge. And I'm a fan of that whistle flow. If anybody has a question or a comment or a topic they want to discuss or breeze out, let me know. That helps. This is literally my first try at this today. This thing we're about to drive over right here, that little nubby thing on top of the pole, that has to do with big trucks. I don't run a big truck, so I don't know exactly how the system works. Ooh, I know what that is. Oh, you in a hurry? That's trucks that, it's some kind of a tag that allows them to bypass way stations. Like right there's a way station. And I guess if you're involved in that program and you have gone through a way station and this shows that you haven't stopped or you haven't done it, you're within the time frame of leaving the last one, it lets you continue on without stopping again. Why is this guy flashing his headlights at me? I'm literally in the right lane. Get mad at me, dude. I don't understand that. You don't get in the hammer lane, you stay out of the sandwich lane, and you stay over here in the right lane to get out of everybody's way, and I got some guy coming rolling up on me flashing his lights like I'm supposed to do something. I don't get it. Yeah, so now we're out of that big old mess we went through. And notice the radio's there. I'll squelch it. That shows you it's on. Just back off on the squelch. Notice it's quiet because nothing's happening. Everybody stops talking. Hey, Bentley, what's going on? Bentley Turner, 13. Huh, cool. Anyway, yeah, making a run. I don't know if this is too different the first time. I'm making a run from just west of Toledo, about 40 miles, a little teeny tiny town called Pioneer. Picked up 2 metal baskets that weigh 600 something pounds apiece that are full of what appear to be motor mounts. That's what they look like. Maybe a little light, but they look like a motor mount. And I'm running them direct down here to Bowling Green to some other operation that runs 24 hours, which is really the best because sometimes this will have like a next day delivery. But if the place you're going to is open 24 hours, you can take it direct. Then you can drop everything and get back on the clock for your next load instead of having to sit around waiting to unload. So this is direct, and I don't even know. I've got it here in my paperwork someplace. What does it say? Clipboard. I am delivering to Bowling Green Metal Forming. That's my destination. Bowling Green Metal Forming. Yeah, that place. No idea who they are or why I'm taking you there. It's not a car manufacturer, so I know that. Getting into the plants is usually a pain in the butt. You go through security and you got to sign in and you got to put on a monkey suit and all this crazy stuff. I'm wearing shorts right now. But I don't like messing with the monkey suit because it's hot.
You guys are clogging up the middle lane.
Alright, so now we got people talking about the middle lane. We got 3 lanes to play with. Over here on the right's the granny lane. The one in the middle is called the sandwich lane, and the one on the left is the hammer lane, or the show-off lane. And there's some etiquette. I always stay in the right lane when possible. There's some etiquette about not being in the middle lane, which I don't really understand. But you get barked at if you get in the hammer lane up there on the left. I project this guy's going to move right in front of me. Wow, I'm looking at the camera lens. That dude is a whole lot closer than he looks on camera. Now, wow, there's a big difference. Look at that armored car on the side of the road. There's something you don't see every day. Well, that doesn't look suspicious at all. That was sarcasm, by the way. Watch, we're going to hear about this on the news later. About that armored car sitting back there. Mark my words. There, you saw it first. I'm going to flash this guy. He wants over. Wow, look at the size of that warehouse right there. Yeah, it cuts off about half of it. Holy crap, that thing was on forever. Whatever it is, it's not done. There's a road sign, Butfordsville and Bowling Green. Right there. Anybody who's taken the time to drive around the country knows what the roads are like, what the conditions are like. Out east, the roads have a tendency to be a little more beat up, generally speaking, because of the conditions and the climate. And they're a lot more compressed. There's a lot more highways. You go out west, it's kind of wide open spaces, which I enjoy. They don't put a lot of toll roads out there. They're only in very specific spots going through major cities. Let's say Denver, for instance. Other than that, it's just wide open spaces. And like I said, this live streaming thing is new for me. But next time I get out west, which I missed it by an hour or a load going out there, I'm hoping to do something that takes me through Colorado again. Because the left lane closed. Okay, that's not me. The northeastern part of the state, you go on 80 across Nebraska, and you get to the edge, and you turn down 76, it takes you down to Denver. I got up in the early morning right there on the border and drove. And that was the most peaceful driving with the sun behind me coming up, crystal clear, low humidity, sun low. I mean, there's nobody around. That was the most relaxing driving I've ever done in my life. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I wish I could have shared that with somebody. I took some pictures. That was it. Just incredibly peaceful, nice roads, nobody around. Rolling grass hills with the mountains, the Rockies in the background. It's absolutely gorgeous. Bentley, you still there? There's a couple of truckers out here that run live stream in their trucks, and they just let it run all day long. I've stumbled across that a few times. I don't know if he ever says anything or anything ever happens. 11, 9, oops. Look out the window, you see people playing with their phones going down the road, holding their phone in their hand and typing away. I see a lot of truckers doing it too. That's a quick way to lose your CDL. Having your phone in your hand, playing with it. Ugh. That's just idiotic. I don't know if this ever came up before, but was it undercover? I have been saving aluminum religiously since I was 7 years old. It's not a money thing. I just like recycling stuff. And I can tell you that 20 years ago, it took 20 cans to make a pound, regular pop cans. And now it takes 28 because they found ways to make it even thinner. And the prices on aluminum, I have seen them swing from 25 cents a pound to 90 cents a pound. And it's closer to that high number right now. And there was a time, not terribly far from our house, there was a bar which has since closed. It's been, geez, I don't know, 2-3 years. It was kind of a hole-in-the-wall bar. And they had a dumpster out back. And the wife and I, as part of our exercise routine, I had a stick, a wooden stick, like a replacement broom handle, but thicker. And I took a rod, the kind of rod you put on your wall to hold a towel. It's got the 2 fingers. And I made a stick with a couple of those drilled into it as a hook. And we would go behind this bar and hook their trash bags. Had gloves on, pull the trash bag out, and their bags would be full of not beer cans, but those beer bottles, those blue, heavy beer bottles that are hard to crush, even with my ample proportions. And we would crush them down and bag them up and bring them home and recycle them. We would count them while we were doing it. I don't know why. The wife and I would count the cans, those aluminum bottles, and one day the most we ever pulled out of there was 368 of these big, heavy, I think they were Budweiser, aluminum bottles. And one year we kept track of how many pounds of aluminum we turned in, and when the dust cleared, it was 1,400 pounds. Oh, there's that vehicle passing us right there is known as a parking lot. Car carriers, they go, that's a parking lot. Okay. You got a box truck, flatbed, tanker, parking lot. So that one year we had 1,400 pounds of aluminum. And while I'm out here on the road, I still pick up aluminum. I crush it, and I've got aluminum, I got Wally World bags back here behind the seat. You can get about 50 cans crushed into a Wally World bag if you crush it down far enough. And I just keep the bags with me and take them home and throw them in our hopper. It's just a habit. Can't stop now. Coming up on 50 years of saving aluminum. Can't stop now. Let's see what this guy's about to do. Oh, we got away. Fun mania? I like that. Big fan, sir. Well, thank you. Of my page or just doing this? That's like I said, I'm new at this. I don't... Whoa, hello. I guess you're getting in this lane. Back off a little bit. When I used to fly in the Grand Canyon, I had a gimbal on the skid and put a camera out there and used to film the routes we used to take. And I used to have that to show people. Then again, I wasn't doing this right here. I wasn't doing YouTube. Oh, a great driver. Thank you. My last van, I put 180,000 miles on in 15 months and didn't have a scratch on it when I was done, which kind of surprised people. I've had to dodge a few accidents out here. I haven't caused any. I've ever actually caused a car accident in my life. Believe that. I've had a couple close calls, but other than that guy that tried to do the insurance scam on me, I haven't had any problems out here. And one of the tricks of staying out of trouble is drive a little bit slower than everybody else around you, and you kind of let the momentum go by. And that works for me. Don't be in it when something happens. Be almost like you're standing on the brakes as you're going back. And I've actually mentioned this previously, but I'm getting ready to bounce off 57 years old, and I have never had a speeding ticket in my life. While simultaneously, for about a 3.5 year period, I held a cannonball run world record, which is completely contradictory. But I still never had a speeding ticket, nor have I been pulled over for speeding.
No problem, thank you.
Can you sing a song, Wise Man says only fools rush it? What? I don't know. That's an Elvis song, right? What? Wise men say only fools rush it. I'm not an Elvis guy. I don't know how to sing Elvis. Sorry. Okay, that's a first. That's a first. I'm more of a rapper. Just kidding. Yeah, my singing skills are on par with my dancing skills. And you don't want to see any of those. Yeah, if you're looking for a van, you basically have the Ford Transit, the Dodge, whatever the heck the Dodge is called, and the Mercedes Sprinter, even though all of these together are called, that bug will never do that again. All these vehicles together are called Sprinters, just in general. And the people who have Mercedes like them, but just remember that they're more expensive, and like every other van, they're going to break. And the parts are going to cost 3 times as much because they have the same parts break. They just have the word M stamped on it, which makes them pricier. So that's why I avoid the Mercedes. The Dodge, if you're not tall, the Dodge works. Yeah, I don't do backflips. Heck, I can't even squat down anymore. My knees are shot. That's why I can't believe I bumped into people my age in the grocery store and they just squat down and stand back up again like it's no big deal. I'm like, yeah, right. That would be a controlled crash landing if I tried that. Like I said, the Dodge van, the driver's position is more like a bus driver because the steering column is like closer and steeper at an angle, more upward. And it's kind of awkward for me because I'm tall. But I guess if you were a shorter person, it might work. But if you ever think about buying one of these vans, you need to drive a Dodge if you're thinking about buying one because it's weird. It's the only way I can describe it. Whew. 43 miles. Wait for this drive. I like how they cut through the mountains to do this. Whoa, what's my phone doing here? The quality of my video is fading suddenly. I'm seeing something here. How about that? Does that help? Maybe, I'm thinking maybe something was sticking to the windscreen. And it's trying to focus on something that's not there. I wonder if this is degraded because of where I am, because I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that doesn't look very good. Yeah, when you're driving out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes this video actually shuts off and then reconnects. Another reason to have a GPS, not just using the GPS on your phone, is the phone requires reception where the GPS is satellite, and you're always in reception areas. And there are bits and chunks of real estate, especially in mountainous areas, where you don't have reception. Wherever it is, especially in Tennessee. Tennessee seems to have a lot of that. I'm going to switch this camera internal. Alright, go back to external. Ha! Did that work? Hey, that worked. Back to focus. Whoop. Silence. My uncle was a truck driver from 1967, possibly 68, until actively driving about 7 years ago. He died in 23. He got to watch this industry from bare bones when the first CB radios appeared, the heyday of the 70s into the 80s, and got to watch the CB radio fade, and regulations come in. You got to watch all that. And that truck, that oversized load that just had steel plates on the back, and his advice when it came to hauling steel was, don't. That's it. Just don't. I went, okay. Didn't really go into details, just don't do it. All right, I'll make a point of not doing it. I don't know what the problem is, but he wasn't real happy with that. He talked about a time back when all the truckers had scanners, and you would listen to the police talking. You would know where they were because the scanners were all analog, and you could just dial up whatever. A scanner would look around for the frequencies. The police would be talking about where they were, and you knew when you could speed. Low grade original radar detectors and radar guns were the thing back in the early 70s. And before the CB radio came out, truckers had hand signals and hand gestures they gave each other. They would talk with them, call it gang signs. And one of them, hold your hand up like you're saying the number 3, and then lay that on your shoulder, up on top of your shoulder, like on your shoulder boards, and you would see another trucker, and you would hold up and pat your shoulder. That means the police, and you would point, and you would give gang signs to how far or whatever, and they would do that to each other. And he kind of ran over some of those signs, and I imagine that memory of that and what signals meant what is probably long gone. My uncle drove for so long. When I was out here driving around, I could call him, and I would say, I need some help. And he would say, okay, we're on the highway, whatever. I just passed the town of fill in the blank, and I'm going east. And he goes, are you at the bottom of the hill yet? Yes. At the top of the hill, there'll be a gas station. Turn right, and you'll go by an apartment complex. And literally, he could do that anywhere. It doesn't matter where I was driving. He could tell me what I was looking at out front, which I found to be absolutely amazing. Because he had seen over a 50-year period, he had seen literally everything. For the collection. These trailers on the back of these trucks, the dualies, the wheels can move. They can pull some pins, set the brakes, and they can literally, like this one going by us right here, those are kind of tucked up underneath. Depending on your payload, they can move those back and forth, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet. So sometimes they're all the way at the very rear, and sometimes they're pushed up forward. It all depends on the payload. And again, I don't drive those kind of trucks, so I don't really know the process. But there's pins where you guide it in. And I was cruising along the other day, and there's a truck in front of me, and apparently he had his pins offset because the trailer was like kicked out like 2 or 3 feet to the right, and he's driving down the road like a cat coming down the hallway trying to intercept you sideways. That's what the truck looked like going down the road, and everybody was coming up on the radio trying to talk to this guy, and he didn't have a radio. You're going, dude, do you have mirrors? Do you see what's going on? And he just down the road. All out of tune, cattywampus, crabbing down the road. There's this guy. guy's in a hurry. You're out here on the open road. You don't want to get too close to the back of one of these trucks that's just cruising along. I mean, there's people that say, oh, the aerodynamics, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not the problem. It's that anything and everything on the road that's going to get kicked up, that truck's going to kick it up. Between him and his trailer, anything that's loose is going to find a way to come flying off from underneath it. And you don't want to be there when something comes flying out. 23.3 miles per gallon. This is what happens when it's not windy. Watch the classics. Anybody have any questions about what's going on? Inquiries? Back 25, 30 years ago, the danger of driving was drunk drivers, and that has subsided noticeably since, let's say, late 80s, early 90s. And it was usually at a certain time of the day. You could find them during the day, but they were mostly at night. They were late at night. You had to be very conscious of that. But they've cracked down on it, and people have possibly gotten smarter over the years. And it's been replaced by people playing with their phones. And that is at all times of the day and night. If you look out your window, you'll notice people are just... It's not that their phone's in a mount like this. They literally have it in their hand down by the horn or down by their waist, and they're looking down playing with it. Which is probably the cause of most accidents these days. Which brings us back to having the rear-mounted camera, so when they rear-end you, you can see they're playing with their phone looking down. Going by Mammoth Cave National Park here in Kentucky. If you get a chance, go check that out. Mammoth Caves here in Kentucky. I went there when I was in basic training. For some reason, they took our whole class there. We went through it one day. It was really interesting, and I brought my wife through here back in 22. It is a very interesting place to go cruise around. You go through guided tours underneath the ground. I mean, it goes on forever, but they take you on a hike underground. It's really interesting. Mammoth Cave National Park. And take a jacket. I don't care how hot it is outside. You're starting to walk into this big cave complex. It's like somebody opened the door on an arctically air-conditioned house and there's some cold air blowing out. It stays comfortable and cool down there all year round. Guy's going by me and his tires are making a slapping sound. That sounded really bad. 30 miles to go. Oof. When I park at night and I'm sleeping in the van, I have blinders I put up. I cover the front windshield and the two side windows. And I crack my windows like an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. And it's to let air circulate. And I bring the blinder down a little bit. It also is for sound. You know, you're sitting there and you think there's something going on, but you can't be certain. Well, when the window is cracked open, you can absolutely hear if there's somebody walking around outside your vehicle. You can hear the crunch of their feet. It's just kind of a safety thing, so you know what's going on. And the sun came up this morning, and magically between the trees, the sun hit me square in the eye in that little seam of light. So I kind of half woke up, and then I moved a little bit, and then the sun moved with me. And then I finally woke up, pulled my head up, and there's this little 1-inch stripe across the pillow, right where my head was. What I remember about the Mammoth Caves is make sure you're following your GPS, because every trinket store in the local area, the name of their business is Cave Entrance in giant letters on the roof or on the sign. Everybody's trying to get you to go into whatever little garbage shop they have set up. So the whole area is Cave Entrance. Yeah, make sure you go to the park. When these big trucks get a flat tire, you don't just jump out with your tools and swap it out. You have a tire service come out and fix it. And that back there was the Loves. I don't know what phone number you call, but they bring a truck out and they pull your tire off and jack everything up. They actually change the rubber off the wheel without taking the wheel off the truck, if it's an outside wheel. It's a pretty interesting little system they have. This guy's some space. A lot of times you'll see these trucks going down the road, they'll blow a trailer tire and they won't know. They won't know it's been blown. And they'll just be cruising along like nothing happened, or the inside tire and it shreds. That's why you see chunks of tire all over the road, aka road alligators. As the tire blows, it just keeps spinning and it's being held up by the other tires around it. So it's not like you're dragging it on the wheel on the ground. It's just flipping around, and centrifugal force eventually takes over and starts tossing the rubber everywhere. And sometimes they don't know it's been blown, and you try to talk to them, and half of them don't have radios. More than half of them don't have radios. One of the biggest false advertisers is a truck with antennas that don't have radios. False advertising. But I've seen more than one truck going down the road, and like the inside, one of their inside dually trailer tires, the sidewalls are there, but the tread is completely gone. There's just a big void in the middle. As far as interstates go on the East Coast, I like Kentucky and Tennessee. I think they're the most attractive, the most trees and whatnot out here that I enjoy driving. But I also very much enjoy the high plain deserts and the mountains of Colorado and western Kansas, Utah, places like that. Radios are quiet. Squelch it, back off, and it's like that. So when it goes down, the radios light up, and when it doesn't, the radios go back off again. There's some guy out in California. There's some dude out in California that has some kind of a super transmitter. This dude gets on here and starts running his mouth about nothing. And it transmits, because he talks about California. And he just babbles on and on and on, and then he says, whatever call sign, standing by, like he's waiting for someone to call him back or something. Like you could if you wanted to. Remember that new CB radios are legally limited to 4 watts of power. And your antenna, generally speaking, you get 1 mile of range per foot of antenna, generally speaking. So how somebody on the other side of the country expects to hear from you is a bit of a mystery. Flash him. Rock that I think looks cool. Out. There was a sign back there advertising an Alpine slide, and I think that's that thing where you sit on the little cart with the handle that allows it to go faster and slower, and it's gravity fed, and you go down a mountain just through the woods and stuff. Somebody posted a video of one of those up in Alaska. There's a part where it slows down to essentially walking speed, and then it goes over a hill and speeds up. And while these two people were at walking speed, there were two black bears standing next to the track. I mean, if you would have leaned over with your hand, you could have touched them. I mean, what do? You can't make it go any faster. It just goes moseying on by these two black bears staring at these people operating it. You're like, oh God. They filmed it too on the way by. Look at this truck passing us. You wouldn't lose this one in the parking lot. Hello. I'm getting fairly close to getting to my destination here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Hopefully I can have some more fun stuff going on tomorrow, but I'll talk to you guys